And joining us right now in our book talk segment of the program, great pleasure to welcome a woman who's written a really interesting book about Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. It's called Jackie After O, one remarkable year when Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis defied expectations and rediscovered her dreams. We're joined by Tina Cassidy today from up in the Boston area by telephone. Tina, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, great to have a chance to talk with you. I read through the book, really enjoyed it, and obviously Jackie Kennedy is a topic of so many books, I guess newspaper articles, magazine articles, television, and all that, but you really kind of found a niche there that I never had seen anything previously written about, or at least not a lot about, after Onassis died and her years after that. I kind of knew a little bit about it from growing up in New York, but interesting topic. How did you decide to do that?
Yes, precisely. I mean, I definitely think that this is a time in her life that was little explored, which is why I wrote the book. The book really centers on one year in her life, 1975, and it's the year when she has a midlife crisis. Aristotle Onassis dies. Jackie is becoming an MC nester with Caroline graduating from high school, and she's looking around trying to figure out what to do with the rest of her life. So this is really a book about how she reinvents herself within a 12-month period.
It really was, when you think of her life, I mean, so much obviously that she had to go through, obviously with her husband, the president, getting assassinated and being right next to him there, and then I guess the TMZ days, even though none of those shows were around, there was a lot about it when she married Onassis, wasn't there? It was kind of a wild story. I guess everybody wanted to cover that at that time.
Yeah, I mean, the nearly 7 years when she was married to Onassis were sort of her jet set years. A lot of people thought that that's really who Jackie was, that she was just interested in traveling the world and having quiet vacations on her own private island, Scorpios in the Aegean. But really, I think what it enabled her to put her life back together after the assassinations of both her husband and her brother-in-law, RFK. And over that 6.5 years of her marriage with Onassis, that marriage actually didn't fare very well. And he was considering divorcing her when he actually fell ill and died. So I think that it was a slow process for her, realizing that pretty soon she was going to have to stand on her own 2 feet anyway. By that I don't mean just financially. I think that she was really looking to reinvent her life and become the person that she perhaps always hoped she could be. And that may sound unusual given that she had such an amazing life, but Jackie was a columnist at a Washington newspaper until the day that JFK proposed. I think she had always hoped to have a career as a writer, always enjoyed writing and literature and other things like that. And 1975 was the year when she finally embraces that again, and she goes into publishing, and it was the foundation for the next 20 happy years of her life.
You write about in the book, which I didn't realize, that they were kind of living separately for quite a long time. I guess she lived in New York, and then he lived in Greece, right? And was always traveling, I guess. So was there ever a time where they were, happy together, as far as your research goes, or was it always kind of strange?
Yeah, I think they did have some happy years together. But I think that, over time the marriage became strained. He was certainly not happy with the money that she spent. She needed to be in New York more and more to be with her kids who were enrolled in school there. And Onassis, of course, was quite old-fashioned and didn't understand why his wife had to be in New York and not in Greece with him. So, it's easy for people to go apart when they're not together all the time, too. But he was doing his own traveling around the world on his yacht and by plane. So I think it was just difficult for them to be together more.
Yeah.
I think after he died, she decided that she didn't need to be a wife again, and she never was, although she did meet a man, Maurice Templeman, whom she did spend the next 20 years of her life as well. But she never married, so this was really about the time in her life where she became the person she wanted to be.
Yeah, there are always those pictures in the newspapers up in New York and of who Jackie was out with at an event. So you did see different people, but Templeton was the name. I couldn't think of that.
Yes,
She was with her for quite a while. What was her financial situation like after the assassination? I mean, obviously Onassis, wealthy man. Was she ever in any kind of financial difficulties, or was she doing okay? Do you know?
No. She, after the assassination, she had a pension from the federal government, a widow's pension, and she also had a trust fund from the Kennedy family. However, when she married Onassis, she remanded the federal check and also the Kennedy trust. So Onassis put money in an account basically for her and her kids, just as a safety net. But of course, she never she needed to tap those funds
Right.
while she was married with him. After he died, the will was contested by Christina Onassis. There was some arguing back and forth, but at the end of the day, Jackie ended up with about $20 million. So she never really had to worry about money.
But I was wondering, because you talk in the book about Onassis' daughter, Christina, that contested it and all that. So there was some. I remember that just from those times that there was some difficulties there legally, but she wound up okay financially then. So that's,
She did.
Yeah.
She sure did. And then Maurice Templeton, along with another financial advisor, Andre Meyer, really helped her grow that money into a very significant wealth over time.
Yeah, she was a book editor briefly too, wasn't she, for Doubleday, Jackie O? I mean, I remember she did that for a while.
Yeah. Well, so in September of '75 is when she did her first job in publishing, and it was with Viking Press, and she worked there for a couple of years until that job went south. She basically had an argument with the publisher over a novel that they published about an assassination attempt on Ted Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kennedy family was upset about it, and Jackie resigned as a result. But she did go on to Doubleday after that, and that's where she spent the rest of her career. Over the course of that career, she edited about 100 books, mostly on topics that she personally cared about: politics, history, the ballet, a lot of art books on photography. So her publishing career was very much a reflection of the things that she was personally interested in.
Yeah.
She also published Michael Jackson's autobiography, Moonwalk.
Right, I remember hearing about that, right.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, she was such at least from the interviews that you saw, she didn't do a lot of them, but going back to when she was First Lady, I remember seeing the video where she gave a tour of the White House, very quiet, kind of unassuming, at least public persona. Did you get any sense into, as an editor, was she like that as well? Was she a little more outgoing, or what do you think?
Well, I had extensive interviews with people who worked with her at Viking, all of whom said, it was shocking to see that she was actually a regular person. I mean, she would, not always, but, was seen making coffee in the office and made her own photocopies and did her homework and wrote the memos and, always kept her door open to her office and was very personable. I think that she was not a dilettante and that people were really relieved and thrilled to see her, thriving at work and putting so much effort into it. She always went home with manuscripts in a briefcase, and she'd write authors encouraging notes, and she ended up being quite well respected by the people she worked with, both at Viking and at Doubleday.
Do you get the sense she was contented as much as she could be from all that she went through in those last years of her life?
And that's really one of the nice things about this book that I found, which is that, despite all the grief that she went through, after 1975, she settled into a life that she really loves and enjoys, and it's, the life that she was probably meant to live.
Remember when she passed away, it was kind of a surprise or shock that she had been ill. I mean, there wasn't a lot about it until you heard that she passed away in '94. She had a form of cancer, right?
She did. She had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she died in May of '94. And yes, I mean, she was very private about her illness. It wasn't until the very end that it was clear that she was terminally ill. But she was editing books right up until she died, and she died surrounded by books and people that she loved. So I think that it's fair to say that she found a way to live a happy life after all of that.
It was a fascinating topic to write about, fascinating woman, perhaps the best or most well-known First Lady of all time, at least in the 1900s, that last 100 years anyway, Jackie Onassis. The name of the book is called Jackie After O. We've been talking with Tina Cassidy today. And Tina, do you have a website that we get a hold of the book or get a hold of you if they like?
Absolutely. It's TinaCassidy.net.
That's CASSIDY. Yeah.
Correct. .net, and you can connect with me on Facebook or Twitter there as well and read the blog.
Great, and I guess you're getting some good feedback. You're living up in the Boston area. I would imagine there are a lot of people up there that knew the Kennedys quite well, and they knew Jackie.
That's true. And there's still lots of Kennedys here. In fact, there's one running in my congressional district.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
The family, I think, will always have somebody running for an office, so that's good.
There's always someone, yeah.
Tina, appreciate you taking a few minutes today, and good luck with the book, and we'll talk to you again sometime.
Thank you so much.